Welcome back to the show, folks. Pretty good conversation going on today. I think so myself. I hope you agree with me. Make sure that you go and check us out at HoustonMediaWatch.com. You can catch me on Twitter at Craig Shelton HMW, and right there on the screen, of course, you can see the Twitter and Facebook handles for the entire crew today. So let's go ahead and get back in studio with me and the guys and hear a little bit more about Texas training camp. Well, folks, welcome to the second half of this week's episode of The Cut. I definitely hope that you folks enjoyed what we just brought you from Texas training camp. Me and Big Richard Walker been spending a lot of time out there with the team and all of the folks out there. And don't worry, we got more for you coming in the final segment of the show. We're going to go ahead and pick back up on the Riley Cooper conversation that we started and led the show with. As you all know by now, the comments that were made by Eagles wide receiver Riley Cooper, where he used the infamous N-word, whatever that means. And I told you guys at the end of the first segment that, as we love to do here, we took it to the social media. Now, here's the question that I put out on Twitter this morning and Facebook. Were any of you black people on Facebook and Twitter, keyword hurt by the Eagles wide receiver Riley Cooper's racial slur, the N-word? Because I enjoyed dinner last night with my sexy ass wife and slept quite well, thank you. That was the question. And in the question was the truth. I slept excellent. No problems. The first night I heard about Riley Cooper using the N-word, I slept well. I slept well every night since then, because I know that there are still people that use that word in a derogatory form in regard to referencing black people. I know this. Mm-hmm. I know that my own people use the word. We use it as an endearing term, but we also use it as a term to insult each other. I mean, the word has so many uses in society now. I have white friends who use the word. They use the word around me. They won't use the word around me in front of just anyone, but they have done it. I worked with a young rapper once. For those of you who don't know, I have a background in music. I worked with a young female rapper who was awesome. She was excellent. All of that. She used the word around the studio all the time. She wanted to use it on her records, and I told her, you can't do that. Because if you do that, the same people that I send out on concerts to be your bodyguards will turn on you and turn on me. My mother will turn on me. I'm just being frank about it. I know people personally that use the word. I don't think there's too many people watching this show that haven't been around a person or used the word yourself in some form or fashion. Mm-hmm. If nothing else, you used it to educate your children about the history of it. And if you haven't done that, how dare you take an opinion in the first place? But no one is going to tell me what to be offended about.
Right.
No one. And I'm not offended because Riley Cooper did something that I know black, white, Hispanic, all kind of people do every day.
It's life.
I'm more concerned about the 6 or 7 murders in my neighborhood I grew up in that were, I'm assuming they were investigated. There was definitely no march for it or anything like that. I don't care about Riley Cooper, who was probably loaded after this concert and just ran his mouth. All right, anyway. Angelo Lawford, Richard Walker from HMW, that's HoustonMediaWatch.com. We are millionaires. That's if money were counted in hits on a website, because we have over 1 million hits. How about that? Support HoustonMediaWatch.com. So we asked this question, specifically to black folks on social media. Were you offended? D-Ray, that's at Damon77049. Why don't you give him a follow on Twitter? He said, Craig, nope. N-O-P-E. I didn't know who he was before, and I don't care who he is now. No. Mike Zerline, is Lance Zierlein's son. He's his brother. He's his older brother, as a matter of fact. Lance Zierlein, from the morning show host, Drive Time host on the Fox affiliate here in Houston, Sports Talk 790. Mike Zierlein said to us that the only people that should be hurt should be the people he knows, like the people in that locker room. Now, disgusted is a word I would use. I think he meant to say not a disgusted word that I would use. And I think he also meant to say disgusting. But we get your point. Interesting take by Damon, guys. I get your take on it. And it kind of goes back to what you said, Richard. This guy said he didn't know who he was before. Mm-hmm. It really doesn't make any difference to him now. Right? Mm-hmm. Your thoughts?
I think he hit the nail on the head. I mean, if anything, the best way to battle ignorance is to not breathe life into it. Because this guy was not a factor to begin with. He was not the kind of guy, it'd be different if, I'm not saying it would be different, but I think it would merit more of a response if, let's say, Peyton Manning said it, or Tom Brady, someone who's actually relevant. Hey, what's that guy doing saying that? I can understand the response. This is a nobody. This is calling what it is. He's a nobody. He's barely on the NFL roster to begin with. I know I'm kind of repeating myself. He had an idiot moment. Some things that were in him came out. Whether or not that's who he is as a person, who cares? He's not a factor, and whatever he says, whatever he believes, he's gonna have to deal with his teammates about that.
Angelo, let me pose this question to you. Richard made a great point. Basically saying you don't perpetuate ignorance. You just ignore it. Right. Are we perpetuating the ignorance by even talking about it on this show? Even though we feel the way we feel about it, are we perpetuating the ignorance by giving it a segment and thus far several minutes on this show?
Well, it's an issue, and
is it an issue or is it a news story?
Well, for me, it's an issue not for me, but it's an issue and a news story because you wonder how it can affect the psyche of the Philadelphia Eagles going forward. Now, if because that camaraderie between a team is crucial.
Do you think that, in particular, Riley Cooper's statement has any type of potential to blow up the NFL and cause a race war on the streets?
No.
Why is it an issue? Why if it has no threat to any relative majority or minority of society, why is it an issue? To me, it's a tabloid story. It's a news story. Mm-hmm. It's not an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, an issue.
I understand what you're
saying. If the vice president is seen making that statement, that has the potential to maybe be an issue. I just don't think that Riley Cooper doing it. I think it's an issue. It's a news story.
Yeah.
And we do this show for entertainment purposes. We hope to share some solid sports information and outside the sports realm when necessary. Mm-hmm. But as what? As an entertainment mechanism, an entertainment tool. Right. I just don't think that it is an issue. Let's see what some of these folks on Facebook had to say about it. You can check out the blog, folks, HoustonMediaWatch.com to get more angles on this story as we move forward. This guy, Calvin McGraw, said, honestly, this is a Facebook comment, honestly, I'm never surprised when it happens. After the blatant disregard for civility over the years, it's become a to-be-expected type of item. He just outed himself, just like Paula Dean, Rush Limbaugh, Bill O'Reilly, Tommy Hilfiger, and a slew of others. That word is defined by being ignorant. So Riley Cooper and all those aforementioned N-words are themselves N-words. Brandon Boss Mack said in one simple line, and I saw a lot of this from a lot of people. Nope.
No.
Didn't bother me. Victor Stubblefield on Facebook said, we got to get better. We got to get stronger. We can't get too emotionally wound up over a word. I'm with you, Shelton. I'm not with you. Because I don't buy into the we got to get better, we got to get stronger. All that sound like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson preaching to me. I get your point and all of that, but I'm not, the whole theme about we got to get better, we got to do this. I would rather you send me a 5,000 word thesis on how we do it. Don't even bother with
lip service.
And I know you meant no harm, my brother.
Yeah.
Folks, how about this, guys? Greg Oden. Dare I call him Mr. Basketball, or should I just say Mr. Basketball injured player? Greg Oden signs with the Miami Heat. We talked about it a little bit on last week's show about him working out with the Heat, Sacramento Kings, New Orleans Pelicans, Atlanta Hawks. Ultimately, Oden, who has only played in 82 games in his career and hasn't been on the floor in 3 seasons, chose Miami last week out of a list of teams that included San Antonio, Dallas, New Orleans, Sacramento, and Atlanta. I have to ask you guys this: does this say more about the NBA product overall?
Oh my God.
Just the state of the big man, that the fact that this guy with his credentials was this highly touted by, we're talking about some pretty good dang basketball teams, including one he signed with
teams that were in the finals are
Right.
pursuing this guy.
Right.
And we talked about that a few weeks back when we had to rank our centers, and we had that discussion, that debate about how detrimental is it to the league that you incorporate a solid big man, and are they lacking the talent at the big man position at the 5?
It's been over 1,300 days since Oden has played an NBA game.
Wow.
Shaq was man in the 5 position.
Wow.
For the Cleveland Cavaliers the last time this cat was on the floor.
Wow.
Reportedly, Cleveland, Boston, Memphis, in addition to the other 5 finalists, all expressed interest in Oden since the start of free agency July the 1st, but neither of those 3 teams ever offered an actual contract. I just think, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it says a little bit about the overall product of the NBA, but not necessarily that it's a bad product, but for me it goes back to the thing about the early entry from the colleges, kids only playing a year or so, and you just water that talent pool down so much. I think it's more to do with that when I say it's a reflection on the overall NBA product that they put on the floor. And then also it does obviously reflect how important the NBA big man is in a league where everybody continues to say it's a guard league until you get into the playoffs, and everybody
have that big man.
until they need bigs that can run up and down the floor. Folks, we appreciate you. We're going to run to a break, and when we come back, it'll be the final segment of the show, and we will have more from Houston Texans training camp with Kim Davis and Stephanie Stradley. They gonna get ugly in this one. They gonna start to debate Matt Sharp. Hang in there. We'll be right back. All right.